actually a lakeboard. Oh yeah, Flossie, we're back in one moment, baby. Swear it's a lakeboard. It's a lakeboard. It's wearing a backwards cap. It's wearing a backwards cap. It's actually a lakeboard. Slowly, it's a lakeboard. It's actually a lakeboard. Oh yeah, Flossie, we're back in one moment, baby. Slowly, it's a lakeboard. It's actually a lakeboard. Slowly, it's a lakeboard. It's wearing a backwards cap. It's wearing a backwards cap. It's wearing a backwards cap. It's wearing a backwards cap.
Add a hand. 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 Flossie's making love to an octopus, making it ink all over the place. Flossie's making love to an octopus. Puss, 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 puss. Add a hand. 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 Add a hand.
Jump scare. Hello. Hello. How is everybody? Very nice to see you all. Been in a baggy t-shirt all day and I've just put this on and I've realised that it makes me very warm. So that's annoying. But here we go. Hello Heather and Monty. Hello to Heather and Monty only. How are you today? Goatwa has redeemed a yeehaw. Thank you so much, Goatwa. Yeehaw! Thank you for your redemption. I really appreciate it. So it's fun and a great way to start the day. We're going to finish this book today. We're going to finish Lightboxes. Because we got to page 69. Nice. Do I have red wine teeth and I've only just started drinking wine? Maybe, who knows? If you notice I have red wine teeth, keep it to yourself. I'm okay. Rob was going to away for a few days, so I'm just pottering around, feeling a bit lost. Oh, Muffin! Oh, how are you? I'm good. Today's my Sunday. Back to work tomorrow. So, that's a thing, I guess. It's alright though. I'm doing okay. Doing okay. Thank you for asking. I should close this actually, so my computer doesn't die. Hello, Iris Amelia. I don't think we've met before. Hello to Iris Amelia only. How are you today? It's great to meet you. Hi. Hello. And hello to Gobois. Hello to Gobois only. How are you today, Gobois? Thank you so much for coming along. It's nice to see you. Have you been doing any sweet skits? Any sweet mother flippin' skittin', Gobois? Whoops, didn't mean to go that far. How are you? I'm okay, thank you. I'm okay. Evening. Hello, Duncan, my sweet baby angel. Hello to GSV Ethics Gradient only. How are you, Duncan? Really nice to see you. I hope you're well. Very nice to see you. I'm back at work now and it sucks. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Hi, G for Duncan. It's Stunby. Oh, hello to Stunby only. Really nice to see you, Stunby. Thank you so much for coming by. Hello. Hello, Heather and Monty. I'm well. Thank God it's Friday, I suppose. Oh, it's my Sunday. Yeah, I'm back to work tomorrow. Yes, getting all day to the max, unlike some people. Disappointing. Hello, Senior Pancake, my sweet baby angel. Hello to Senior Pancake only. How are you today, Senior Pancake? It's so nice to see you. Hopefully you're doing well. How's your day going, Senior Pancake? How's your morning been? Hello, Teal Track 471612. Hello to Teal Track 471612 only. How are you today? Thank you very much for lurking. I really appreciate it. You do you, babe. I'm so glad you're here. I'm drinking wine. I haven't had any wine in ages. It's really nice. It's really nice. I was about to say it's really nice to be drinking again, but that's probably not a very good thing to say. I don't mean it in a bad way. It just is really nice to be drinking again. Not that I wasn't drinking on purpose. It's just nice to be drinking again. Anyway, lovely, busy, working. Oh, well, I'm glad that it's been lovely, and I hope the busyness makes it go quickly. I'm sorry that it is worky. Shall we get to reading? I'm going to do some reading. Maybe better phrased as, it's nice to enjoy a glass of wine again. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I mean anyway. Yum, 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 yum. Yum, 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 yum. So yeah. Oh, keep your eyes peeled though, because I hope that this will be the time that I'm streaming every day now. Fingers crossed, that's the goal. So hopefully it'll be between 6 and 7 that I'm starting each day. I hope that works for you all. Fingers crossed. So to recap where we're at with this book, February has been stealing children, and the war against February has been underway. Sailor. To watch the way those horses died, to have felt the waves of their muscles contracting and shaking under that skin of mushy green, it was too much for me. The floor and walls and ceiling of our home were covered in moss. The dog was covered in moss, but was still alive, and he ran around the home barking green-coloured clouds. Thaddeus was tearing it out in fistfuls from the walls. Caldor was swinging a scythe in wide, low arcs. Sailor and Thaddeus start on the floor, tear out what you can and burn it in the stove. Caldor yelled at me as I stood there with my arms frozen to my side. I thought about the way the horses died. I thought of death and war and the sadness of this once colourful town. Sailor, please, The floor, said Thaddeus, who kicked his feet, flicking at the moss that grew over his toes of his boots. I went back to where the horses were. I knelt down in the cold snow, flecked green. I peeled the moss away from their bodies. Their eyes had burst and their tongues were hanging out. Their necks were ropes of muscle and wet moss from the snow that now looked like green foam. I placed my head inside a horse's neck. Deep inside that web of flesh, among the organs and bone, I saw a miniature town that was identical to ours. I saw Thaddeus and Caldor and Bianca and everyone else deep asleep in hammocks tied to the ribcage. I saw a balloon carrying horses in a blanket. I saw kites pushing clouds into a burning sun, and where the stomach was, I saw myself standing in a frozen river. Wind tunnels around my legs drifted my dress and pulled out my hair towards the clouds. I could feel the cracking of ice against the bottom of my feet. The fish ate water and screamed for me to come down and have some tea and some mint. I'm going to lurk while I try to fix my humidifier. Great. Ew, says Heather. It's just a story. It's a story about an entire town that's inside a horse. It's okay. Thaddeus. The shopkeepers in town said they saw Sailor out in the river. One of them went after her. He reached out his hand. She shook and stamped her feet. She broke the ice beneath her and fell. I tried to save her, Thaddeus, the shopkeeper said, who was a cold little old man with a crooked back. He walked with a cane with a curved end in the shape of an eagle which he clutched. I lay out on the ice as best as I could and tried to find her through the hole. I'm sorry, sir, but what I saw, I don't know if it's February getting to me or not. But here, this is what I saw. He quivered and then straightened his back. He handed me parchment paper. He shouted for the death of February, and a few other shopkeepers rallied around him, and they disappeared inside the inn. Outside the inn were great big heaps of wilting moss, dying ants, a butcher skinning a wolf. I unfolded the parchment. I thought of Bianca and Sailor and this ongoing war. I sat on the ground in the street as the wagons passed by me, the wheels slipping in snow. There was a drawing on the parchment. It was drawn in lead and showed a woman, Sailor, underwater. Brown fish with horse heads encircled her. Her hands were angry clouds. Kite strings were wrapped around her body as she was screaming with a mouthful of snow. Hello, David Shutter, my love. Hello to David Shutter only. Really nice to see you, David Shutter. How are you, baby? I'm really glad you're here. Oh, Noodles, my babe. My wonderful jumper friend, Noodles. I'm so glad you're here. It's really nice to see you. Hello to sweet baby angel Noodles only. So nice to see you, Noodles. How are you? Creamy DJ Pea and Ham Soup. Hello. Hello to Creamy DJ Pea and Ham Soup only. Really nice to see you. How are you today? Hello, Electron Gap, my darling. Hello to Electron Gap only. Thank you for being here, Ronnie. I hope that you're well. Maggie! Great to see you, Mags. How are you? Oh, lovely Maggie. Hello to Maggie FBK only. Only Maggie. I'm so happy that you're here, Maggie. I hope you're well. I'm good. How are you? I'm good, thank you. I've got a lovely glass of wine. And we're halfway through our weird little book, which is excellent. And then I was going to ask Robotron if he would mind if I read his book to you. But we'll see. We'll see. John Robertson is an award-winning comedian who has been making children and adults laugh with fear since 2003. Written with his signature dark humour, the little town of Maryville is sure to terrify and delight all in equal measure. Creamy DJ Pea and Ham Soup, that's one heck of a username. Yes, it is. David Shutter is an incredible, generous, and aesthetically unoffensive human being with the patience of a saint, a razor-sharp wit, and a wonderful turn of phrase. He also writes Nightbot commands. Really nice to have you, Shutter. Really nice to have you. I'm willing to say I'm well, but I'm okay. Well, I love you, and I want to lick you up the legs, Maggie. Emotionally or physically, whichever you're more comfortable with. Nice to have you here, Mags. Thanks for coming by. Hello, Leaky, my darling. Hello to Leaky only. Hello, Leaky Bobby. How are you today? It's great to see you. Hi. Creamy DJ P and Ham Soup redeemed a yeehaw. Thank you so much for your redemption, Creamy DJ P and Ham Soup. Yeehaw! Thank you very much for that. That was great. Thank you, Creamy DJ P and Ham Soup. Hi, Leaky. Hi, Shutter. Hi, Heather. Hi, Duncan. The gang is in. The whole gang's here. My mum's pea and ham soup is a great fart maker. Amazing. Hi, Elect Ron. Whereas that was not a cult, this is a cult. I'm so proud to have you in the Ginger Club, my lug. I couldn't deny it anymore. I love it so much. I haven't had it this colour in a while, because this is the colour it was when I burnt it all off when I tried to do it in a rush to impress an ex. The ex wasn't impressed. But anyway, now it's a mullet and I can have it orange again. It's pretty good. I also really want your advice, guys. My housemate's partner is a tattoo artist, which means I can, tattoos are much more affordable to me now, as they weren't before. And so I'm thinking that I would really like to get these just above my knee, one each side. I'd quite like that. The hair coordinates with your whisk tattoo. Yeah, it does. I'm meeting with a tattooist next week. Amazing, Maggie. What are you thinking about having? That's fantastic news. I'm so excited. Yes. Ronnie says, a big pic of me and Shutter on each knee. That would be cool. Which is the happy knee and which is the sad knee? The happy knee is the right knee, the sad knee is the left knee. One on each kneecap, one happy knee, one cross knee. I was thinking that too, Noodles, but I think I might be too much of a wuss to get a tattoo on my knee. I think I might be too sooky for that, but that would be really cool. That would be cool though. Maybe I'll look into it. I'll see how painful it is. Leaky, wait, I'm in a cult? Yes, DJP and Ham Soup, you are at a cult. I'm meeting with a tattooist next week. Knee's not as bad as forearm. So what this here, because this was agony. Agony. This was fine, obviously. Knee could be cool. It's 6 years to the day since I got my one and only tattoo, and I haven't had any more since because money, and the first one not being a millimeter perfect, so me being too worried to get another and it not being perfect. Oh my love. Are knees as bad as wrists or ankles? Yes, yeah, I thought that knees would be as bad as wrists and ankles. That's what I'm nervous about. That would be really cool though, Noodles. I'd love that. It's too complicated to explain and I need to get the tattooist to refine it. Lol. A massive-ish piece either on my calves or forearms. That sounds excellent, Maggie. That sounds really good. Less nerve receptors in the knee. It's why you can get unexplained bruises on the knee but you cried a paper cut. That's a really good point, Noodles. Noodles is an extremely smart and accomplished, genuine, actual doctor. So I now feel totally confident in getting a tattoo on my knee. Thank you so much, Noodles. Maybe I'll get them on my knees. That would be really cool. Right? That would be really cool. I'm very tempted. That's a good idea, Noodles. I might do that. I'm quite jealous of tattoos, but all the things I've ever thought I'd like a tattoo of, I would now regret, so I guess it all works out in the end. All my tattoos are so dumb. I've got them all like on spur of the moment. I'm a bad influence, but also yes to all the tattoos. Thank you, Noodles. Maybe I'll Noodles, if I got a little pack of uncooked noodles tattooed on me because I love you, would that make you feel uncomfortable? I don't regret my first 2 tattoos, but I also don't care for it anymore. Yeah, me too. I don't regret my first one, but I also think that it's a bit shit. I may get that one refined during the process. I've been thinking about getting something over the top, just like, not like covering it, but like coloured lines over the top. I thought that would be cool. I would love to be permanently on your body. I'd like that, Noodles. Let me just... so I've set up a personal Discord for me so that I can keep track of all the things that I want to do and just put it all in one place. So I have a tattoo channel. Uncooked noodles for my noodles. Good. My first tattoo was 30 years ago. I think if I just get some freshening done, it will look about 200% better. Yeah, that would be good. Yes, I have a rule that I have to wait at least a year to decide if I really want it, which has worked out really well. Yeah, I just get them. Just get them done. Whatever. Who cares? I don't care. You might care, and that's absolutely, totally fine and very valid. It's just sort of like, I think maybe it might have something to do. I think that it's a lot of my reckless behaviour is like a manifestation of poor mental health. And so I think that my attitude towards tattoos is a result of poor mental health, but I don't feel negatively towards any of my tattoos. Like, for instance, I got my nose pierced when my grandma died because I wasn't coping with the grief. And like, this was my way of like coping with it. It's like, that's not a good reason to get a piercing. I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? Electron Gap, like reopen nominations. I have that bit of Pinterest. Oh, good, Heather. Can you write yourself notes on Pinterest? That's a good point. I have an R and an N on each butt cheek, so it says Ron when I bend over. That's really cool, Ronnie. That's really cool. When you say uncooked, do you mean raw or do you mean not cooked in an artistic way? I mean not cooked in an artistic way. Yeah, as in like my drawings are always cooked and I want this to be uncooked, you know, like reopen nominations. Yeah, exactly. I just got my piercings because I wanted them. Yeah, I want to get one here, an orbital, but anyway, I just save pictures of tattoos ideas. That's good. I have a folder of those in my Instagram as well. Shred it where it's due. Oh, that was a good sound. Ooh. Fitzy. Hello, Fitzy, my babe. Oh, hello to Eric Fitz. So nice to see you, Fitzy. How the shit are you? Thank you very much for coming by. Floss Treasure, how are you? I'm good. I'm so happy to see you, Fitzy. Yeah, I want an orbital, but my forward helix was such a massive pain in the ass to get healed that I haven't done it. See, I don't have any helix. I just think it's going to hurt a lot, but so do tattoos. I feel like I have more painful piercings. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's going to be good. It wasn't even fizzy water. It wasn't even fizzy water. It was fizzy water. Oh yeah, it's Maggie FBK. Hello, Eric. Floss, I'm sitting in my car waiting to collect food, and your dulcet tones are keeping me company. I really, really love that you have me keeping you company, Eric. I'm so happy to be with you. Thank you so much. I love you. We got back to reading the story earlier, and then I stopped to say hello to everyone. So shall we carry on? Shall we carry on? Ear cartilage is worse than nose. See, this one was worse than this one. But I don't have a sweet spot here, so this is through cartilage here. So this is both through cartilage, so this will be through cartilage. Ear cartilage was way worse than nipples. No, not for me. I had to have mine done twice though, so it went through scar tissue the second time. So the first time it was fucking painful and torture. The second time was worse again. Nah, ear cartilage was fine. I reckon it's going to be fine. I mean, it's going to be what, 4 seconds? I think it's okay. It'll be alright. I might not get it done. I've got to find the money, it doesn't matter. Let's get back to reading. Where was I up to? He handed me parchment paper. He shouted for the death of February, and a few other shopkeepers rallied around him, and they disappeared inside the inn. Outside the inn were great big heaps of wilting moss, dying ants, a butcher skinning a wolf. I unfolded the parchment. I thought of Bianca and Sailor and this ongoing war. I sat on the ground in the street as a wagon passed me by, the wheels slipping in the snow. There was a drawing on the parchment. It was drawn in lead and showed a woman, Sailor, underwater, brown fish with horse heads encircling her. Her hands were angry clouds. Kite strings were wrapped around her body, and she was screaming with a mouthful of snow. It continued snowing, and the war effort gathered around Thaddeus, who wouldn't move from the street. The shopkeepers cleared the snow around him with shovels. Thaddeus held a crumpled ball of parchment in his fist and refused to speak. At one point, a wagon wheel crushed his hand, but he didn't flinch. There's still a war to fight, one war effort member said. The town needs you, said another. Caldor Clemens grabbed Thaddeus by the shoulders and shook him. You can place your frustration on February, he said, looking into the dark eyes of Thaddeus. He mumbled and tightened his fists, but didn't move. 3 war members, Bluebird Mask, a carpenter, and Caldor Clemens tried to push him over. Caldor said that it was like trying to move a chimney. They had no choice but to leave him in the street, night after night after night. The left side of my body is Bianca, and my right side is Sailor. With no body, I have no reason to move from this spot. I dreamed you a field of running horses, Sailor. For you, Bianca, a balloon the size of the sky. My body a kite that you can throw into the air. Pull me by string and horse. Tell me everything won't end in death, that everything doesn't end with February. Dead wildflowers wrapped around a crying baby's throat. I've slowed my heartbeat to 3 beats a minute. I've redrawn the clouds into birds, a fox chasing them into the mountains. I'm going to move my hand today. I vomit ice cubes. There's a ghost next to me. Get up, Dad. February watches the snowfall. He thinks about the senseless deaths of Sailor and Bianca and the ongoing war against him. He creates 10 different shades of grey in the sky and then starts over again. The girl who smells of honey and smoke calls for him to come inside. He thinks. She has a light in her throat when she speaks. She has strings of light draped inside her body. There's a terrible war against me, he says over his shoulder. I know, she says. You can stop it any time you want. The girl who smells of honey and smoke can't hear him cry, but she can see the curled shoulders. She can see his black shake. Sculptor. Bianca's ghost appears in town. She wears red shorts and a white blouse and has long black hair. I watch her buy mint leaves and talk to shop owners about how soon we will only experience summer. She walks through the streets, passing out tulips whose petals have veins that spell out the word July. A barkeep tells everyone that Bianca's ghost has a war plan involving the town children who have been kidnapped by February. An apprentice of mine says that when Bianca cupped her hands together, it showed an entire sky of kites. Thaddeus hadn't spoken in a week, but when Bianca's ghost whispered in his ear, he stood up, he pointed at the sky. He went to his home where Caldor Clemens had taken over the war effort. Bianca's ghost disappeared into the woods. Since Thaddeus' solitude, it's never been so cold or dark in the town. My owl statues became brittle with frost and cracked and crumbled to dust, and I'm lucky I haven't any children left to feed. That's a horrible thing to say, but it's true. Owl statues, half price. Ear cartilage was way worse. Call me oversensitive, but just ow, it was really sore leaky. Wagon wheel, plain or the jammy ones. Oh, I'd love a biscuit. Must have been when they used to be bigger leaky. Yeah, I think it was. Caldor Clemens gave a shirtless speech under the 2 holes in the sky. The war effort sat in a circle around Clemens, who pumped his fists and split into snowbanks. Schaefer Sam, thank you so much. 10 bits. I love you, Sam. Flosticles, thank you. Hope you're having a tip-top day. I am now, Sam. Thank you very much. Are you about to start crying? That seems unnecessary. I love you. There's no reason to cry. Thank you very much, Sam. It's really great to see you. I hope that you're well too. Thanks for being here. Where are we? Let's just do this bit again, shall we? Don't cry for me, Whiskey. He is, though, Sam. He cares so much about you. Caldor Clemens gave a shirtless speech under the 2 holes in the sky. The war effort sat in a circle around Clemens, who pumped his fists and spit into the snowbanks. Thaddeus came up the hill carrying a scythe over his shoulder. He swung it across the snow tops, causing the war effort to cheer and Clemens to tilt his head back and shout insults at the sky. I'd like to add something, said Thaddeus, who moved into the centre of the group and, in a gesture of respect to Clemens, took off his shirt. As the snow fell on his skin, Thaddeus thought it didn't feel like snow. He prepared his mind to feel snow on skin, but that isn't what he felt, because the snow was torn parchment with letters scribbled in lead. In a fury, Thaddeus collected the pieces of parchment from his shoulders and arms and every scrap from the hairy back of Clemens. The war effort helped too. They crawled on their hands and knees and gathered up the parchment into a small pile. Thaddeus and the professor spent the next week deciphering the fallen parchment. They sat at a wooden table in Thaddeus's kitchen where they could move the letters around. They took turns wearing the light box. War members brought them mint tea and tended to the fire. There were over 200 pieces of torn parchment. The professor smacked the side of the light box and inside of the light flickers as they shuffled the letters. What about this? Said Thaddeus as he moved the letters along a row that stretched the length of the table. Find February at the edge of the town wearing dark clothes. Follow animal-human footprints created by February at the edge of town. But it could be wrong, said the professor. Look. The town created dark footprints at the edge of animal clothes. Human footprints wearing dark clothes at the edge of town. See all the fruit, said Thaddeus. Apples and watermelons at the edge of town. Fruit, asked Professor. Yes, fruit, Thaddeus said, and spelled out more names of fruit grown during warm months. The professor continued moving letters around. At the edge of town appeared dozens of times. And then the professor began moving the pieces again and came up with something entirely different. He handed the light box to Thaddeus. He rubbed his face. Thaddeus said that at the edge of town was where he should go. He told the professor about the scroll of parchment left on the tree, where there were 3 children once sat twisting the heads of owls. He told him about the tracks in the snow leading from the oak tree, the concentric circles, the animal prints, the human prints that might lead to February. Very well then, said the professor, at the edge of the town. If not, we'll go back to moving the parchment and we'll find another answer, said Thaddeus. Very well indeed, said the professor. He put the light box back on. My cat came back last night after 3 years away, so I am good. Sam, that's fantastic news. I'm so happy, baby. That's so great, Sammy. That's wonderful. Did you have a lovely reunion? That is maximum cat behaviour. That's right, Maggie. That's absolute, full, 100% stone cold cat behaviour. Nice. Was it glad to be home or just expected food? I love you. There's no reason to cry. I need that in a little card to keep in my wallet. I can make that for you, David. Let me just check. Can you hear my housemate? That doesn't go in the tattoo channel. That goes in this channel. There we go. Can you hear that? I mean, he's not my cat. He's a neighbourhood cat who 3 years ago used to come and sit outside my window for 2 months and then disappeared, and I assumed he was dead. But no, my best friend is back. I'm so happy, Sam. Very cat, that cat. He runs away if I try to feed him or anything. He just likes to watch. Creep. I know someone who changed their name to be less feminine. They went by Teddy, but legally changed their name to Thaddeus. Thaddeus is such a good name. Thaddeus is such a good name. Yes, it's very loud, devastating. Better than the noises from the old chicken shop, isn't it? I know. I always wanted to bring the name Hieronyms back. I've never heard of that name. Sounds like a good name though. Let's have a look. Hi, She Said Lane. Great to see you. Hello to She Said Lane only. Thank you so much for being here. Great to see you. How are you doing? Thanks for coming by, my friend. I'm really glad you're here. We're doing some reading. Read. Doing some reading. And it's been a lovely evening so far. Hello, I am in work and I cannot listen, but I stand my Ginger King. Hello, Chris, says Maggie. Okay, here we go. List found in February's cottage detailing possible cures for February. Hieronymus, as in Hieronymus Bosch, the mad Dutch painter who thought hell was a circus of butts. Hail to the kings. Absolutely. That's a good name, Sam. Are you going to change your name to Hieronymus? I reckon it would suit you. You could just go by Hieronymus and keep Sam. I think it suits you, Sam. I hope you don't mind me saying. List found in February's cottage detailing possible cures for February. Valerian root and vitamin C tablets taken in the dark. If you don't know Hieronymus Bosch's work, you would absolutely love it, Floss. I don't know it. I've never even heard of the lad. Never ever. Yoga and meditation. The melting of snow in children's palms. Light boxes. Hot bath taken with mint extract. Touch the moon in places the moon doesn't know exist. Ooh, hello. Consumption of St. John's wort. Feed the garden inside. Give Bianca back. Twisting your fears into desires. Mood diary. Hydrate the body. Pay attention to the girl who smells of honey and smoke. Thaddeus tied a wool scarf around his neck, looked at the picture the old man had given him of Selah, and left home. Tree branches bowed with snow, their tips tied to the ground with invisible ropes. Thaddeus imagined standing behind February, running his knife in a half moon from ear to ear. He saw the blood wash the ropes away and the snow shake from the trees and the sky click to blue. Is the music annoying anyone? Should I go and make it stop? Hieronymus, when transliterated into English, is Jerome. When translated into Italian, it's Geronimo. Jerome's a great name as well. Jerome is another really good name. I'm just going to wait and see whether you need me to go and kick that music. Kick it. It's very loud. And bad. Clatter. The music is barely background, as in it's too loud or it's very quiet. Hello, Smyvi. It's very nice to see you. I hope that you're well. Look, it's the orange. It's the orange from the past. Clatter, said David Shutter. Was there a clatter? Oh yes, I thought something was different. Lovely tone. Thank you, she said, Elaine. Thank you very much. I felt like I wanted to dye my hair coloured for a while, but I kept on thinking that I would do it lots of different colours, which was throwing me off because I was just worried that it wouldn't match any of my outfits, but just one. Be Quiet was bloody knackered by the time I got home yesterday, not used to being social. Burnt orange or safely orange. I was also fucking exhausted, but I had such a nice time. Such a nice time. It's safely orange. Is it Poppy? Do I need to give her a sub to this channel too? She never even comes to my streams. She comes to everybody else's streams. She never comes to mine. So rude. So rude. Somebody needs to give her a talking to. She's never here. I don't know if it's Poppy. I don't think so. Thaddeus tied a wool scarf around his neck, looked at the picture the old man had given him of Selah, and left home. Tree branches bowed with snow, their tips tied to the ground with invisible ropes. Thaddeus imagined standing behind February, running his knife in a half moon from ear to ear. He saw the blood wash the ropes away and the snow shake from the trees and the sky click to blue. As Thaddeus walked through this town, a few shopkeepers shook his hand. A butcher gave him a pork loin wrapped with twine. The old man appeared again, hobbled up to Thaddeus and handed him another folded parchment. Thaddeus unfolded it carefully. It showed himself standing behind a bearded man, running his knife around the man's throat. "Why would you draw this?" asked Thaddeus. But the old man was gone. He thought through the yellowing candle at the inn the window he saw him sat drinking a beer stein. He thought the beer stein was decorated with balloons. February was kidnapping the children and burying them at the end of town. Any time he looked into the town and felt sadness, he sent a group of priests armed with shovels to dig a new hole. What February didn't know was not all the children were dead. Some were learning to survive underground, had built an elaborate series of underground tunnels. Someone was helping them. They snuck out at night and gathered firewood and stole lanterns. February couldn't see what the children were planning underground. He couldn't see their cold faces illuminated in the fire and lantern light, and he couldn't hear them discussing the war against him. The children dreamed the same dream the war effort in town dreamt. Flocks of birds tearing through a new blue sky. They dug tunnels and snaked beneath the town, and placed notes inside homes, informing them of their own war movement. Some children weren't so lucky. February would watch their fingers break a crust of snow, twitch a little, and then seize in the wind as the wolves moved in. It pleased February when that happened. He went ha 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 and felt guilty for doing so. On more than one occasion, February looked under a roof for a child to kidnap and would see people wrapped in wool blankets and scarves and sweaters standing in a tight circle. He would watch them toss their layers to the floor and the corners of their home where they unfolded parchment with words he couldn't make out. He would watch their fingers break a crust of snow, twitch a little, and then seize in the wind as the wolves moved in. February tried to understand the town. The girl who smelled of honey and smoke told him he should drink more tea with mint leaves. She placed her hand around his bicep. Her thumb and pointer finger touched. February looked back on the town and saw the war effort resume, the water trough attacks. He saw Thaddeus Lowe and he saw the butcher's knife hidden inside his coat pocket. It wasn't my choice to do terrible things to this town, said February to the girl who smelt of smoke and honey. I didn't want this to happen. I pray each night for it to stop, and the girl who smelled of honey and smoke. I've had dreams of a woman helping us. Thaddeus Lowe is coming with a knife, said February. Thaddeus Lowe is coming to kill me. Maybe I can help, said the girl who smelled of honey and smoke. It's the dream I've had and what the woman has told me to do. I don't want to die, said February. This is what's going to happen, said the girl who smelled of honey and smoke. She walked over to February and whispered something in his ear. I hope that works, said February. I really do. I'd do it for you. I'd change our entire story if I could, she said. Our story, said February, is all wrong. Back in town, the blacksmiths and carpenters are building a steel ship large enough to carry the population of the town. Caldor asks why build a ship, and a blacksmith laughs and slams 2 iron planks against a dimpled metal block. What do you think is going to happen when all this snow melts? The blacksmith says. The blacksmith turns to a group of workers who are above him, constructing what would become the bow. It's too ridiculous to think we can sail away on the rivers that will flood our town, that we will end up in a new town. The blacksmiths raise their glowing tips of metal and shout, no. Caldor tells one of the blacksmiths that Thaddeus Lowe will save them. The blacksmith laughs. Thaddeus Lowe is an idiot, says the blacksmith. A fool. Come here, says Caldor. The blacksmith is about the same size of Caldor. Caldor spits in his face, and simultaneously a bucket of frozen tree sap crushes into the side of the blacksmith's skull. Caldor dangles the bucket over the body of the blacksmith. Thaddeus Lowe is going to save this town, he said. Caldor walks to where he can see the beekeepers standing on the hill. From this distance, he thinks, the bees look like plumes of smoke around their hooded heads. Hello, 80s! Oh my goodness! Hello to What a Fly, 80s guy. Only. Hello, 80s, my sweet baby love. How are you? I'm so glad you're here. Tossed layers and scrambled eggs. They're calling again. I cannot wait until winter comes back. Ugh. I, for one, love February. Anyone else find reading Flossie's reading voice super relaxing? Thank you, Leaky. I'm really glad you do. I always really wanted to work in radio. And then I really wanted to read audiobooks. Always wanted to do both of those things. I'm fantastic. How are you? I'm really good, thank you, 80s. I'm really good. I got delicious wine. My hair is orange. I'm having a nice day. Thank you very much. Please stop crying, baby. You don't need to cry. I love you. Everything's okay. Yes, I'm worried I'm going to fall asleep. Oh, sorry, Heather. I'm fantastic. I'm really glad you're fantastic, 80s. I hope your mug is going well as well. Shred it where shred it's due. How is Whiskey? Normal sad or worrying sad? Just normal sad. He's a pretty happy boy. I think he just wants a snack. I can go and give him a snack if we'd like. I can go and give him a little snack. Has Whiskey transformed into a potted plant? No, but I think this one was getting too much sun on the windowsill. So, yes, he should have a snack. Everybody wants you to have a snack, baby boy. Gosh, you're so lucky. You're so lucky, little noodle. Let's give Whiskey a snack, a crunchy snack. But I don't think... Oh, I might be able to reach the microphone. I could reach the microphone for the crunch. Let me just unwind it all. Just gotta fetch it out here. And then, where does this go? This bit is up here, and then it goes through there, and it comes around here, and around there, and around there. And then I think I should be able to unravel it. And then I can take the microphone over to give the boy a little snack. Have I done that right? No, it needs to come through here. Awesome. Plenty. I'm wearing my pajama bottoms. Please forgive me. But you can still hear me, which is good. I know everybody wants you to have a little snack. Yes, baby, I know. I know you're such a good boy. Oh, you're such a good boy. Do one of these. And that's the boy with a snack. He's had a snack. What a lucky boy. There we go. Does Whiskey like carrots? I always thought Don crunching carrots to be a good sound. Whiskey loves carrots. He really loves carrots. We used to eat carrots on stream Also, whiskey eating cucumber is a very good sound. As well, in my opinion. AS Muntangling. Yes, that's right, Leaky. I hate the summer. Me too. This year I have a reason to hate it. I won't get to see whiskey under a jumper for a good few months. You're a fucking babe, Sam. Thank you very much for saying that. Also, I hate summer so much. I hate it. I hate it. Anyway, I think I've made my opinion clear. Cool runch, cool runch, cool runch. Bless you. Little sneezies. What's that snacky make you sneezy, baby? Bless you, bless you. Monty loves crunching a carrot. Monty's such a good boy. Polly baby loves carrots. She especially likes eating half of them and leaving the rest in bits buried in the rug. Whiskey can only eat a carrot if you cut the pieces up small enough for him and then give them to him. He would never eat a carrot that was carrot shaped. Oh no 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 no. He will only eat a carrot has been cut into slices. You don't need to cry. You've just had a snack. Have a nap. Have a nap. Fuck off. I love you, but you need to fuck off immediately. Anyway, shall we? Matthias! Ah, what an entrance. Thank you so much for your raid, Matthias, and it's such a fucking pleasure to see you. Hello to my fucking darling Matthias. Hello to Matthias only. I love you so dearly. Thank you for being here, Matthias. Thank you. Lovely. Okay, so every day should be a clear, crisp. Saki! Oh, baby, thank you so much for subscribing. 4 months. Thank you. This music is too much. I'll be back in a second. One moment. Zaki, I love you and I'll be right back. Hello to Zactopus only. Please don't leave. I'm just going to have to go and deal with this absolute dog shite music. One moment. My housemate's a darling and he's toned it down, which is lovely. So, nah, I love it. Hot, hot, hot. Oh my gosh, I hate the heat so much. You love the winter, but that's because you're a stone cold stunner, Heather. I hate the summer so much. I'm putting my hat into Team Heather on this one. Well, Duncan, you're also a real hottie, so that's why. I have a cough. Sacre bleu. I'm back, thank you. Thank you very much, Zactopus, for subscribing. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you. I watched a VOD of Zactopus's last night, actually, and it was like crazy relaxing. I had such a nice time. You were playing the game that's like, say no. No. I don't know, but it was really great. And I love you. It's so nice to be with you. Matthias, I'm bi-seasonal. I love summer and winter. Way. I just don't like summer. It just makes me uncomfortable. I'm really happy for other people to love summer, and I don't want to take summer away from you. I just don't like it. which is why I moved to a country that only has summer for a couple of days. Shut your mouth. Shut your dog mouth. No, don't you wag your tail. Don't you? This is fucking ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous. Absolutely unreasonable.
At hand. At hand. Ah. At hand. At hand. At hand. Ah. Flossie's making love to an octopus, making it ink all over the place. Flossie's making love to...
Oh my god. Oh my god. Wild. We're just trying to read a story. Let's go. Let's go back to the chat. So wonderful to see you, Flossie. I hope you're doing alright. It's absolutely wonderful to see you too, Matthias. I am doing alright. Thank you for being here. Did you tell your housemate? Listen, Zactopus is here. Respect the puss. Don't make them mad. I did actually. It's exactly what I said. Drinking and eating outside is just a flying insect nightmare. Can't stand it. Give me a log fire in a pub snug any day. I like drinking and eating outside in the cold as well. It's dreamy. I love it. Also, all of my best clothes are coats, which I can only wear when it's cold. Otherwise I get sweaty, which is uncomfortable for everybody. Such a good game. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. Thank you for having it. Or a bench outside a garden centre. I could never be angry at bangers. So. Whiskey just really wants to know what's happening with February. I know, I'm trying to get to it. Stream will BRB. Flossie is just sending whiskey to the taxidermist. It's very funny, David Shutter. Yes. I'm 1,000,000% Team Flossie. Winter forever. Winter forever. Winter forever. Ugh, gorgeous. I love it. It's amazing. And it snowed so many times this previous winter. It made me so happy. I've got to go, but I love you all, especially Whiskey. We all love you too, Sam. We all love you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Beekeeper. One possibility is to attack with bees, I said. I could send thousands. The stings would force February to peel the clouds away. It's an idea. It could work. I told this to Cowdell Clemens while we sat in a balloon basket staring up at the sky. Under where the 2 holes were rumoured to be, the balloon itself rippled, was deflated around us on the snowy plains like a gown. Go ahead and send them, Clemens said. Thaddeus would try it. I tapped my head. A swarm of bees moved up my neck and formed a funnel extending skywards. The bees disappeared through the clouds and there was a terrible buzzing sound. Then, seconds later, the funnel collapsed and thousands of my dead bees rained from the sky and filled the basket. Their little bodies were hard and cold. Clemens stood there staring at me while I shielded myself from the falling, dying bees. The sadness was overwhelming. What the shit? Said Clemens, shifting his legs out of the dead bee basket. I watched him walk back into town, swatting dead bees from the nape of his neck. That night, Cowdell Clemens had a dream in which Thaddeus stood in a field with 3 owls. February was on his knees. The owls nodded the way owls nod. Thaddeus had his knife drawn. I'm sorry for your daughter and your wife, but you have the wrong guy, said February. I don't care what you have to say, I only care about what you've done, said Thaddeus. I can't help it. Really, I can't, February said. I'm going to open your throat and fill you with tulips, Thaddeus said, grabbing February by the shoulder. Wait, said February. There's someone I want you to meet first. Running from the horizon and down the plains was a girl who smelled of honey and smoke. Let me introduce you to my wife, said February. List of artists who created fantasy worlds and try to cure bouts of sadness. Italio Calvino, Garcia Marquez, Jim Henson and George Borges, Labyrinths, the creator of MySpace, Richard Borton, The next one's a TERF, I'm not saying the name. The inventor of the children's toy Light Bright, D.A. Levy, David Foster Wallace, Liam Rector. Like every other house in town, Caldor Clemens received a folded square of parchment. I'm just going to cross that page out, actually. I really don't like it. I really don't like that page in this book, so I'm just going to cross it out. There we go. And then I'll know not to read that page again. There we go. Like every other house in town, Caldor Clemens received a folded square of parchment from a group of children who came up from underneath his floor. There were dozens of them down there, leaning against the sides of the tunnel. They held up their lanterns for the smallest to climb up over them and hand Clemens the parchment paper. "Is Bianca Lowe down there?" said Clemens. "Who is Bianca Lowe?" the smallest child said. "Bianca Lowe," said Clemens. "Are you stupid?" "Sorry, I didn't mean that. She's a little girl with kites painted on her hands and arms. Her body was found on the riverbank. Sometimes her ghost walks around. I believe she may still be alive, since all of you seem to be." Clemens rocked from side to side. He tried to recognize a face. "Hello, Brock. Love me some attacking bees. Aren't they great, Brocky? Get the terse redacted. Amen. Not too bad, man. Banging headache yesterday and my arm is super tender today, but I'm having vegan nuggets and beer, so I feel great. Brock, that sounds stunning. I want nuggets. What was that threat about tulips on the previous page? It sounded amazing. Let me get it for you." "I don't care what you have to say. I only care about what you've done," said Thaddeus. "I can't help it. Really, I can't," said February. "I'm going to open your throat and fill you with tulips," Thaddeus said, grabbing February by the shoulder. It was very good. "I'm all good. I had a mild cold symptoms and a sore arm. All gone now. I was stirring my chili and just caught the end of it. It's really good, David Shutter. It's a very good one." Her body was found on the riverbank. Sometimes her ghost walks around. I believe she may still be alive, since all of you seem to be. Clemens rocked from side to side. He tried to recognize a face. The smallest child carefully turned around and asked the other children if they had seen a Bianca Lowe. A child at the bottom of the tunnel checked a scroll of parchment and called back that no such child was listed. "Here," said the smallest child. "Take this." The square of parchment fit in the center of Clemens' palm like a pebble. It was tied with blue ribbon. On the blue ribbon was a tiny gold letters, and it read, "Final War Plan Against February." "Thank you," said Clemens. When he looked back down the tunnel, all the children were sliding into the flickering darkness, swallowed up by lantern light. February was so worried about Thaddeus that he didn't see the people in town open their squares of parchment and read the final war plan against him. Some people danced, others cried. The war plan spread through the town and into the trees where the birds flapped their wings and thought they could fly again. The priests huddled, shook their heads, and waited for an order from their creator. Caldor Clemens was one of the people who cried. Caldor told the members of the war elf effort that he would leave early the next morning to find Thaddeus. After they began the first steps of the children's war plan, they would follow Caldor's path of dead bees through the woods. Then they would all meet and head back into town together. "But when do we ready the balloon?" said one of the members of the war effort. This particular man, an original member of the Solution, who wore a purple bird mask. "I wasn't aware of a balloon," said Clemens. "So you don't have a drawing of a balloon flying in the sky in your parchment paper?" "No, I don't," said Clemens. Clemens studied all the parchment the war effort had collected. Each was the same except for one that showed a balloon flying in the air. The parchment smelled of honey and smoke. "I don't know," said Clemens. "Maybe that's the future or some shit." Bianca. People in town think I'm a ghost, but I'm not. Even when I scream out, "I'm not a ghost, I'm a real life little girl who isn't dead, and I jumped from a hole in the sky where February lives," the town folks still ignore the real me. They eat apples and clear the snow from the wagon wheels with iron bars. Things like the smell of mint water filled the air are said about me when I come around. Things like "Bianca's ghost began appearing in town" are written. Even my father thinks I'm a ghost. Do you think I'm a ghost? No, you don't think I'm a ghost. You're one of the good ones. You're kind and compassionate and filled with happiness. You walk through the season of February without a care in the world, maybe a shiver, only a passing complaint about the greyness of the sky that will soon give way to the flowers you planted around the mailbox. Thaddeus. I came to a clearing where it was colder than anywhere else. There was a pile of chopped firewood and a small log cabin that had moss growth beneath the door and windows. I took out the knife the blacksmith had given me. I slowly approached the front door. The wind blew at an incredible speed, and the holes in my scarf made my neck blister. I remembered myself, of all the terrible things February had done to me and the town. I calculated in my head that it was the 859th day of February, and enough is enough is enough, and God save me, I will slit the throat of February if it leads to warmer seasons. At the front door I felt a wave of heat enter my body. I smelled honey and smoke. I thought of Bianca and her empty bedroom, the mound of snow with teeth. I heard a woman's voice. I waited to hear the voice of February. I imagined the depth of his voice, the endless dark lush layers. "Thaddeus, come in from out there. It's freezing," said the woman's voice through the door. "Don't you know it's the middle of February? I have a pot of tea on the stove and a fire going. It's like June 17 in here." In the distance I heard wolves and saw priests running behind birch trees, and I think I heard the war scream of Caldor Clemens. I lost control of myself. I took my shirt off and I pulled my pants down. I let my entire body collapse against the floor, collapse against the front door, letting the warmth settle into my bones and the moss scratch at my eyes. I hope you feel tip-top soon as well, Brocky. You had no trouble finding the ground then? I've got to do this. There we go. Done. War effort number 1. Bluebird mask. Caldor Clemens was hung by his neck inside a hollow oak tree. His flesh had been torn open and birds had made nests inside his stomach, chest and neck. Other animals, bears, deer, a fox, had also been hung, draped from the tree branches by neon blue string coiled around their necks. The mouth of Clemens had been ripped open. His bottom lip was at his chin and his top lip was where his hair started. His mouth was filled with snow. A few teeth peeked through. We found the body of Caldor Clemens shortly after following him into the woods. We had completed the first steps of the children's war plan, which was to put piles of dry brush throughout the town, and then we followed the trail of dead bees, just as Caldor had instructed. The war effort survived floods and moss and endless snowfall culminating in endless sadness, but the death of Clemens twisted our hearts in a different direction. We found the spot where his body was. The tall skinny trees bent in the middle, and the ground rippled, the way I remembered waves breaking on the shore. War effort member number 17 gripped my hand, and we kept walking. The other members scanned the sky for 2 holes. When we came upon the death scene, 2 war effort members sped off in the opposite direction. Those who remained started to jog, smiling and complimenting each other. Thaddeus. I opened the door to February's house and saw a girl with long black hair sitting at his desk. She was smiling and said, "Please come in and take a seat." I declined. I asked where February was. She said he had gone out to collect firewood and berries. The inside of the home was furnished in a way that I had never seen before. Lamps and tables and chairs designed from another world. I noticed a fire burning low against the wall and columns of worn books stacked to the ceiling. "Who are you?" I said. "I'm his wife," she said. "February has taken my wife and daughter and is destroying the town," I said. "I'm sorry. We too feel an overwhelming sadness. We too cry more than we laugh." The girl stood up and walked over to me at the front door. She smelled of honey and smoke, and when she got close enough, images of cornstalks and birds and money salamanders crawled from my eyes. I felt dizzy. I grabbed her shoulders so I wouldn't fall. My body boiled into a blistering heat, and sweat poured out of me like lead. There, Thaddeus," she said, embracing me with arms that reminded me of Sailor. "Don't worry about February. You can't control February." My legs turned to mud. My knees hit the ground. My arms were around her waist now. Honey and smoke. Honey and smoke. Honey and smoke. It was blurry. Then everything went black. When I woke, I was sweating. I was sitting on the floor near the front door, and the girl who smelled of honey and smoke was sitting at the desk, writing something on parchment paper. "Oh, you shouldn't see me writing this," she said. "Just pretend you didn't see me writing this." As I started to leave, I heard a man's voice and turned around to see, but it was only the girl who smelled of honey and smoke waving from the desk. When I stepped outside, I took a deep breath and my lungs filled with warm air. The soil was soft and worms twitched in puddles. Birds flew from branch to branch. Flowers were spouting up around the oak where the squirrels fed, and the sounds of owls were so deafening that you'd think something was wrong. David says to Ronnie, "You had no trouble finding the ground then?" And then Ron to David, "I realised I had been there a few weeks ago to the Argos and Burger King." Sportsball ground, not ground. War effort member number 2, missing his bird mask. Thaddeus was walking in our direction, weaving his arms and whistling. A yellow bird mask next to me commented that Thaddeus was wearing a shirt without sleeves and pants torn at the knees. "A tactic against February," I reminded him. "We have lost the tips of our fingers and our toes are black inside our boots. Our beards are brittle with ice, our skin hard and red and cold." "He's going to freeze to death," said the war effort member. When we came upon Thaddeus, he laughed and gave each of us a great big embrace, patting us on the backs and kissing our faces. His arms had black spots where February had attacked, and his legs had ice for skin. When he placed his arms around me, he felt like 1,000 pounds. "Victory is ours," he said. "You killed February?" we asked. "No," said Thaddeus, "but look around." I didn't look around. I didn't need to. I didn't have to see the trees burdened with snow, the sky stuffed grey. Instead, I stared at Thaddeus as the snow fell on his bare arms. "What?" said Thaddeus. "Why is everyone looking at me like that?" War effort member number 3, purple bird mask. Thaddeus talked of spring like it was blossoming around him. When we saw snow and felt cold air, he saw crop fields and shielded the sun from his eyes with his hand. "Here," I said, handing a stack of papers to Thaddeus detailing the children's war against February. He read each page. He told us that if he had known children were living underground with this kind of war plan, February would have ended on the 10th day. Thaddeus then threw the papers into a pile of snow left yellow from a war member. "Call it off," he said. The war members looked at each other until I retrieved the parchment papers and tried explaining to Thaddeus that February was still continuing, and the last week had been the worst yet. "Complete nonsense," said Thaddeus. "We should get back to town and begin the spring harvest. Tell the underground children to come up and be children." One war effort member whispered into another's ear until it circled to the end, where I stood and heard to go the professor for help. I nodded back around to the circle, to each member. We nodded, and Thaddeus laughed. The professor's report on Thaddeus Lowe. Thaddeus Lowe believes that the current season is spring. On more than one occasion, he left my home to pick vegetables, which he pretended to cook over the fire I normally use to boil potatoes. To see this behavior from Thaddeus breaks my heart, and I can only conclude that this is the cruelest of tricks from February. Thaddeus laughed uncontrollably when I put the light box on. He slapped it off my head, knocking me from my chair and onto the floor. Thaddeus asked several times why I was wearing a sweater and a scarf. Thaddeus laughed and shook his head each time. Stop. Thaddeus laughed and shook his head each time I explained to him that it was February, and that it had been February for nearly 900 days. Thaddeus doesn't know who I am, or spelled, or hypnotized. He is oblivious to his surroundings. I believe he has been poisoned, or spelled, or hypnotized by someone. It's difficult for me to even write this, for at this moment Thaddeus is standing outside without a shirt, commenting on the sun. In fact, it is a blizzard. Hello, Gulp Gang. Hello, Resting Smug Face, my darling. Your mullet's looking fresh. Thank you, my love. I'm so happy to see you. Hello to Resting Smug Face. Only. Really nice to have you. Thank you for coming by. I'm really glad you're here. Thank you. Thaddeus asked me twice if the children's war has been called off. I told him that yes, I believe it had been. I also told him about my rearranging of the paper that fell from the sky, but he cartwheeled away in the snow. I'm going to have some water. I think that I might have hash browns for dinner, but I can't just have hash browns. So what else should I have? I wonder what else I have in the freezer. Gotta figure out what I'm gonna have for lunches. I could do soup and bagels for lunches. That would be easy enough. Maybe I could do soup and hash browns for dinner tonight. That would be pretty stunning. Okay, let's keep reading. We're at page 118. And the last page is page 166. So not very many pages left. Bianca, the only people I was able to convince that I wasn't a ghost were the underground children. When I told them that the body found near the river was a fake, they said they already knew that, and they said they knew how many tricks of February. They said they knew the many tricks of February. The children had developed an intricate maze of tunnels beneath the town, illuminated by hanging lanterns. At each junction there was little broken signs with an arrow pointing up that said what part of town, what store, or what house was directly above you. I found my way home and climbed up and shifted a floorboard to one side. My father was there talking about flying a balloon again. He was having an entire conversation with himself about how sweet the air tasted at a specific height. He described wind gusts by waving his arms through the air from side to side. He described the balloon ascending into the sky by stretching his arms to the ceiling and making a noise with his lips that sounded like the flame. Before going back down into the tunnel, the floorboard I had shifted to one side made a creaking noise. My father looked. He ran to me. He said I shouldn't be living underground. He didn't recognize me. I told him I was his daughter and I wasn't a ghost. He told me to call off my war and instead spend the next day swimming in the river where the water was warm like silk on skin. I told him that didn't make sense. "It's me, Bianca," I said. "I'm your daughter. Look at my face." I rubbed the dirt from my cheeks, made sure my face wasn't coated in snow or ash. "Bianca," I said, "don't you recognize me?" I wrote each letter of my name on a scrap of parchment and I slid it across the floor. B-I-A-N-C-A. My father moved the letters around. He spelled a cabin. Then he came back to Bianca. He looked at the letters, the name, then at me. He kept doing this. Eventually, I think he smiled. "Thaddeus, something is wrong with me. The girl who smells of honey and smoke. I will help you and the town." February goes home. February waited in the woods before heading home to the girl who smelled of honey and smoke. He opened the door and handed her a sculpture of an owl with a cracked skull. He bought it cheap from a depressed sculptor. The girl who smelled of honey and smoke cried and hugged February. She whispered in his ear that Thaddeus Lowe now believes in spring, and given time it will infect the entire town. "Maybe we can live in peace," she said. It was a solution to the war against him. February had suffered through their fake smiling faces, water trough attacks, sticks thrown at the sky, prayer and war hymns. He had seen them covered with moss and endless layers of grey. He had seen them sadden, and with over 900 days of February, he had been blamed for it. "Very well then," said February, and he sat down in a wooden rocking chair and folded his hands on his lap. "I love you," said the girl who smelled of honey and smoke. "And I love you," said February, feeling a little sad. Note written by February. There is a house builder and his wife. Name the house builder February and refer to the wife as the girl who smells of honey and smoke. You coward. After Thaddeus called it all off, wars against February, the town's sadness reached a new depth. 2 members of the war effort flung themselves from the blacksmith's ship. Another cut his wrist open in the middle of the street and dead vines poured out from his body, grew through the street and covered a cottage. Shopkeepers wept through the night. The beekeepers had their bees sting their necks in order to stop their crying. Snow mixed with ice and a sheet of lightning fell from the sky, and Thaddeus Lowe could be seen walking through town, wearing nothing but cut-off burlap pants, commenting to his neighbours about the beautiful weather. "Remember to trim those hedges," he yelled to a shopkeeper who was sitting on a pile of dirty snow. He pulled his knees up to his face as he rocked back and forth. The underground children came up occasionally to watch the town fall apart. They thought of rebelling against Thaddeus on account of his madness. They held meetings and argued into the late night. They discussed the war plan given to them by a girl who smelled of honey and smoke. Seeing now the consequences of proceeding without the support of the war effort and the townsfolk, their confusion swept through the underground tunnels. Thaddeus dreamed and ignored everyone. Everyone in town telling him that February was still occurring. Squares of parchment tied with blue ribbon had been placed throughout his home. Each one had a different style of writing, each one from a different person from town or the war effort. They said things like how February had been the cause of his wife's death, his daughter's, and Caldor Clemens. They pleaded with Thaddeus to remember the days of flight, and one parchment had strands of balloon fabric sewn into the fibres. Thaddeus didn't touch any of these. It was Bianca who began sneaking into the home each evening, placing the squares of parchment around the house as her father drove a tractor around the imaginary fields. When he ignored them, she began unfolding the parchments and placing them in the bathtub on his bed, sticking them inside cabinet doors with candle wax. Thaddeus started to read them and nailed them to the walls of his home until they covered each room. He studied what they said and thought he should go back to the home of February in the woods and ask the girl who smells of honey and smoke, and ask more questions. Hello, Mr. Damien J. How are you today? Hi, Flossie. Wolfie's drawing arrived today and he is very appreciative. You're so welcome, Mr. Damien J. I'm so happy that you have it. Thank you for having one. David Shutter, you can pop around and have some chili if you like. Floss, it's ready now. I would love that, David Shutter. Yes, please, my darling. I would absolutely adore that. Yum. The girl who smelled of honey and smoke wanted to be with a man who had the following characteristics. 1. Gets his hair cut. 2. Has a respectable income. 3. Wears nice clothes that fit him. 4. Acts like a man. 5. Looks healthy. When she looks at February sitting on the floor, occasionally writing something, she saw none of this. His hair hadn't been cut in over 6 months. It was a mess of brown waves and curls, a dingy mat growing down the back of his neck that embarrassed her when she brought him around her friends. His job at a local store where he had been working for over 2 years without a decent raise was going nowhere. He didn't own a vehicle like other men because he couldn't afford one. Instead, he rode his bike to work each day and didn't object when the girl who smelled of honey and smoke's parents offered to buy him a vehicle. He couldn't afford an apartment, so he lived in his parents' basement where the girl who smelled of honey and smoke lived also, and was now planning an escape each day she woke. To the sound of someone's piss spraying the toilet bowl water above her head. His wardrobe consisted of underwear his mother had bought him over 6 years ago when he first went away to college, 6 faded t-shirts and 3 pairs of jeans, which were Christmas gifts from the past 3 years. When February would spend hours writing a story, he wouldn't discuss it because he had gotten away from him months before. The girl who smelled of honey and smoke told him that other men do things like take their girlfriends out, buy them flowers and candy, surprise them with picnics. A man, she said, doesn't hide the same make-believe story that he can't even finish. And lastly, when she looked at February in the shower or when he was dressing, she wondered if he was dying. His skin was pale. His arms and leg bones lacked the muscular frame that she believed was sexy. He was 6'2" and weighed 155 pounds, except for the 2-mile bike ride to work. He decided against an exercise routine. Occasionally she'd see him in the bedroom struggling on a 3rd push-up, and she'd notice the uncombed block of hair, the tube-like body trembling, the dirty clothes piled up, the bicycle leaning against the drywall, and it reminded her of why she didn't have, and the possibilities waiting outside those dark walls. February held a beer trimmer. He reread the list of characteristics the girl who smelled of smoke and honey sought in a man until the anger turned to sadness. He stretched his arms out in front of him. He inspected their thinness. He ran his hand through his hair. Thickest part at the back of his neck, a puffy mess that now embarrassed even himself. Then, flipping the plastic switch, that row of rusty little teeth soaring back and forth, February raised it to the front of his head and in one long stroke began shaving off his hair. When the townsfolk looked up, they believed it was snowing, but as the locks of hair fell down upon their shoulders, lashing them across their cheeks, curling around their ankles and holding them to the streets, sticking to their lips and suffocating their breath. They realized that it was another attack of February. "Look," said Thaddeus to himself, "some summer vines are falling from the clouds. How unusual." "It's February," said a war member. "Thaddeus, please, it's February from above causing this. Can't you see that?" "I'm going off to see February at the edge of town again," said Thaddeus. "Thaddeus, it's a trick. February doesn't live at the edge of town. Look up." And Thaddeus was off. Thaddeus walked back through the woods into the home of February and the girl who smelled of honey and smoke. When he opened the door, he saw a man in a rocking chair, cutting his hair with a pair of large sewing shears. The girl who smelled of honey and smoke was sitting on the floor, writing on parchment paper, which she folded into tiny squares and bound with blue ribbon. The man, thought Thaddeus, was February. He wore faded brown pants and a dark blue sweater with holes at the elbows. He cut his hair in odd angles and took a few snips from the chin of his beard. Thaddeus looked closer. February dropped the sewing shears. The girl pushed the parchment papers under a bearskin rug. They glanced at each other and looked back at Thaddeus, who was still standing in the doorwell. "Well, come in," said February. "Don't let the cold air in." Thaddeus was puzzled. His ankles, beneath his socks, were sticky with sweat. The girl who smelled of honey and smoke approached Thaddeus and placed her arms around his shoulders. "I'm glad you're back," she said. "Come in and sit on the floor with me." February stayed in his rocking chair. He folded his hands in his lap and rocked back and forth. He looked scared, thought Thaddeus. "I thought you were dead," said Thaddeus, looking at February. February shook his head. "No, I'm not dead," he said. "As a matter of fact, I don't know who or what I am anymore. They blame me for an endless season where all it does is snow and the skies are grey and everyone is filled with endless sadness. They blame me for the end of flight. Did you know that I had visions that you were coming to cut my throat, Thaddeus? Just awful. I had to sleep in an empty cottage at the edge of another town. The weather was warm. Thaddeus didn't know of any other town within walking distance." February continued. "I ran away from the possibility of you killing me to another town that appeared to be abandoned. The weather was warm, the homes newly built, but there were holes in the ground that appeared to go to the center of the earth. It looked like tunnels underground, and inside them were lamps strung by holiday lights. The girl who smelled of honey and smoke got up to make tea. Thaddeus said yes, that he would drink tea only if the bottom of the cup was stuffed with mint leaves. "I don't understand," said Thaddeus. "Neither do we," said the girl who smelled of honey and smoke. "The two holes in the sky," February said, "they hold the answer. We believe in a creator. We believe that creator is up inside those two holes in the sky. We believe that the cause of this endless sad season is directly connected to the creator." Thaddeus took the teacup from the girl who smelled of honey and smoke. "But you're February," he said. "You're the cause of it." "I'm not February," February said. "You and everyone else, including the creator, call me February. I don't even know my name. I'm a builder of houses. I know that. I built this house myself. I should be called house builder. Most of the homes in your town I built with my bare hands. That is, before I was driven away. I hate February." "But you kidnapped the children and buried them," said Thaddeus. "I wouldn't do that," said the house builder, kind of laughing. The girl who smelled of honey and smoke sat so close to Thaddeus on the floor that their knees were touching. "He loves children," she said. "He wouldn't do that." February the creator kidnapped the children," said the house builder. "February the creator is responsible for this endless season of sadness. But you," said Thaddeus, looking at the girl who smelled of honey and smoke, "you poisoned me. You made me see spring. When my daughter was taken from her bed, it smelled of honey and smoke, and the window was open." like I can control what I do and how you are affected. I believe I was only doing it for the safety of my husband. Someone told me to do it, and I did it. I too have been misled as a girl who smells of honey and smoke. I'm a housewife. And as for the smell of the room, the housewife whispered, February is a cruel being capable of such tricks. Hello, Ghost in the Machine, my love. Great to see you. Hello to Ghost in the Machine only. Very nice to have you in. I hope that you're well. Thank you for coming by. So it is still February, said Thaddeus. All this time February is still occurring? I'm afraid so, she said. None of this makes sense, thought Thaddeus. We feel the same way, said the house builder. How did you hear that? You said it out loud, said the house builder. The girl who smelled of honey and smoke nodded. There was a war planned by underground children, said Thaddeus. It's against February. Or is it against you? I shouldn't have called it off. Should I have called it off? I need to get back to town. And Thaddeus headed to the door. Please, said the builder, I know you won't understand this because I believe it's impossible to understand, but I'm not the cause of the town's troubles. I've been pushed to the edge of town. Look back to the 2 holes in the sky. That's where the problem is. Or the problem is willpower and what you think you can control. I, for example, got labelled February, and my wife here as a girl who smells of honey and smoke. Such nonsense. How awful. When Thaddeus opened the door, it was snowing again, and the trees were coated in ice. He ran back to the town as fast as he could, tripping and falling several times. He screamed in torment, his face pressed into the hard snow. The girl who smelled of honey and smoke woke up before February each morning. She'd crawl out of bed and walk through the darkness to the unfinished home and sit down at a wooden desk where she'd click on a small green lamp. She would read through the stacks of papers, the fragmented paragraphs, the half-sentences and abandoned dialogue, and finish these lost riddles to her liking. A long time ago she showed Bianca the sun. Yesterday she told Thaddeus to walk back to the house of a man wrongfully accused of being February to ask more questions. She supplied the blacksmiths with the tools to build a ship. One by one she revived the children buried underground after February kidnapped them, and she was the one who dropped the scraps of parchment from the sky that Thaddeus said the war effort collected. The girl who smelled of honey and smoke told the children nursery rhymes and supplied them with lanterns as her hands carved out the maze of tunnels. There, she said, hushing them to sleep under thick winter blankets, their bodies huddled against a curve in the tunnel. And deep inside their dreams she fed them the images of a final war against February. There, she whispered, tucking the squares of parchment under their pillowed heads. Thaddeus called a meeting with the war effort. I apologize to everyone, he said. The past weeks I believe it was spring when in fact the attacks from February have never been worse. I believe we should go on a full-scale attack against February. He doesn't live at the edge of the town. That is a house builder and his wife, who is a worker of spells who tried to trick me to protect her husband. What I do know is that the real February is the creator who lives in the 2 holes in the sky. And we should have known this. We will immediately construct a fleet of balloonists and ascend into the air. There were about 30 people in Thaddeus's home, and they immediately began to object. A few people shouted that flight is impossible. The professor quieted them and spoke. But we already have a plan underway, he said, and handed Thaddeus the bundle of parchments gathered from the homes and shops left by the underground children. Fine. Go ahead with it, he said, but I'm going in the opposite direction. I need to get to the holes in the sky. Should someone go with you? Asked a war member. No, said Thaddeus. The children's war plan is a plan that will work, but I can't leave without seeing what's in the sky. I will attempt to fly tomorrow by myself. Everyone else can begin the children's war plan. . 25 pages left. That night, everyone ate dinner together at the inn. They had steamed carrots, apple-glazed pork, and boiled potatoes. They ate all the food in the town. They told stories of how Newtown would be warmer. They drank and dreamed of blooming fields. A calendar was created, void of the season of February, and at the end of the night they brought it out and everyone cheered. They talked over the war plan one last time and went to bed early. People questioned Thaddeus on how he was going to fly when flight was impossible. Thaddeus shrugged his shoulders, said he didn't care, that he just had to try. I miss you both. Barmies! Hey, buddy! How are you, my friend? 38 pals! Hi, guys. Thanks for coming by. Lovely Moth. Hello, Moffy baby. Krusty and Asarium Babelfath. Schwartz Sabbath. Moth's here. Hello, Llama, my sweet angel. Ashens. Hello. Much Manga. Hi, I don't think we've met. Great to meet you. Hello. Web Sketch. Hi guys, how are you doing? Did Barmies do the platinum? Did he get it done? Thanks for being here. Oh, Bossa Poppy. Hi, Bossa Poppy. How are you doing? How's downstairs? Thank you for the cheer. Hello. Oh, thanks, Moffy. Thank you very much. What book are we reading? We're reading Lightboxes. Low platinum, yes, sadly it's coming though. They're always coming, aren't they, Bummies? They're always coming. Perpetually working on the platinum. Floss is reading Lightboxes by Shane Jones. Thank you, David Shutter. I appreciate that. Bummies has just left. Farius JG, thank you for following. So nice to see you. Thanks for coming by. Hello. Let's do some of these, shall we? Hello to Argu Bummies only. So nice to see you, Palms. How are you doing? Thank you for bringing all your pals over. So great to see you, mate. Hi. Hello to Asia. Babelfath. Thank you so much for following. Hello to Babelfath only. Hi, Babelfath. Thanks for being here. Thank you for following. Thank you. Barmies. Thank you for the sub, baby angel. Hello to Argu Barmies only. Hey, Barms. Thanks for being here. Hello to Mothzilla only. Hi, Moffy baby. Thanks for coming over. Thank you for following Asia. That's really kind of you. Thanks for being here. I hate how much I like ASMR. I'm just reading you a story, Asia. Thank you for being here. Hello to Bossa Poppy only. Hello. And we have Jerona Joe. Thank you for following Jerona Joe. Hello to Jerona Joe only. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Web Sketch. Thank you for following Angel Web Sketch. It's so nice to have you. Hello to Web Sketch only. And David Shutter, wanting to show my best side, has redeemed a sassy smile. So let's going. Thank you so much for your redemption, David Shutter. I really appreciate it. I hope that that was the sassiest smile you ever had. Thank you. And a wet drink redeemed by David. Thank you. I would love to, as I am parched. Lovely. I hope you're all ready for this. You're ready for this. Boom, 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 boom. An extra loud one for the Balmy Army. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Glad someone can do bulbs. Balmies can't. No, Balmies is absolute dog shite at it. Absolute dog shite. I was still thirsty, so I had another. I'm so glad you're all here. Thank you. We're on to the last 20 pages of the book. So we'll get to know what happens to February. Thank you so much for everybody who came along. Thank you for the beautiful follows. For one person to eat? Yes. To build a bridge? No. Is 520 grams of pasta too much? How hungry are you? You might get a sore tummy. Shut your mouth. My dog's having a little whinge. Amazing. Amazing. Alright, let's see how we go. Thank you for being here. Welcome to the Gulp Gang. That night, everyone ate dinner together at the inn. They had steamed carrots, glazed apple pork, and boiled potatoes. They ate all the food in the town. They told stories of how Newtown would be warmer. They drank and dreamed of blooming fields. A calendar was created, void of the season of February, and at the end of the night they brought it out and everyone cheered. They talked over the wall plan one last time and they went to bed early. People questioned Thaddeus on how he was going to fly when flight was impossible. Thaddeus shrugged his shoulders, said he didn't care, that he just had to try. I miss you both, said Thaddeus that night into his pillow. He thought about the man and the woman at the edge of town. His head was spinning. I love you both, he said into the pillow, and he fell asleep. David Chutter is redeemed. Show me your amazing mullet. I would love to. Thank you so much for your redemption, David. I'm just going to grab my brush. Let's have a look. Thank you for your redemption. That is my mullet. I hope that you enjoyed meeting each other. If it was your first time meeting my mullet, I hope that you liked them. If you were revisiting my mullet, I hope that you still liked them. I'm saving up channel points for an emergency tash, but I also really want to see that mullet choices. Thank you, Smug. That's so sweet of you. Jerona Joe, I'm always hungry. Me too. Thank you for redeeming that mullet for our lovely Smug face. You're such a babe. Thank you. Well, I didn't know that this was missing from my world experience, and now I can never unknow it. Thank you, Babblefaf. That's so sweet of you. Thank you. Much Leia. Thank you, Resting Smug Face. Glorious. Thank you, Jerona Joe. I cut this mullet myself. I'm not a hairdresser. Can you tell? Alright, let's do some mother flippin' reading. Some mother flippin' reading. Alright, here we go. February woke up one morning at a time, the same time that the girl who smelled of honey and smoke was getting up from the bed, and he decided to follow her. He crawled on his hands and knees across the floor and looked into the next room where the desk was. The girl who smelled of honey and smoke was sitting there, writing something. She was folding the sheets of paper and tying them with blue ribbon and reaching her arm through a hole in the floor. February stood up and walked past the desk. The girl heard him, and she turned around. "Go ahead," he said. "You can write whatever you want," he said. "I don't care anymore." "I will," she said. "You took away a man's wife and daughter for no reason. You're cruel, and I'm going to show them happiness," she said, wondering if he knew about the underground children, the notes she had been giving them. "I'm sorry," said February. "I'm sorry for everything." February turned and walked back to the bedroom. Just before entering, a sharp pain ran from the bottom of his foot to his hip. He fell back on the ground and twisted his foot up near his chest, and he saw 3 dead bees crushed into his heel. Later that same day, the girl who smelled of honey and smoke sat at the desk and lit fires in the town. She had Bianca start one at one house and work in a descending circle, burning it all down. She then collected the papers in a stack, tied it with a ribbon, and placed it in a light box. She placed it in a box she titled "Light Box." Oh, thanks, Resting Smug Face. Zactopus says, "I've been cutting my hair for a year now and I don't think I'll go back. I feel like I should get it cut once by a professional, just to get it done right. But maybe not, maybe I should just keep going, just keep hacking." Bianca began at the edge of town and worked in a descending circle, dripping and tilting her lantern onto piles of brush that the war effort placed the day before the death of Caldor Clemens. On a parchment, it looked like this. The last home she set fire to before escaping down one of the tunnels was her own. When she ran inside, her chest hurt from breathing so hard and her blue dress was covered in ash. She looked out the window and saw the planes burning and the blacksmith's ship sailing away in the distance. She walked around the house, lighting the walls with a growing flame as the children and tan folk yelled beneath her. "I'm off. Bye, my loves. Bye, Maggie. I love you. See you soon. I did my own mohawk a few times, but it's grown out. Nice. Bye, Maggie, Maggie, Maggie." That's from Heather, Heather, Heather. "Come on, Bianca," they said. "Come now before you burn to death." Their fists pounded the soles of her feet. She slid a floorboard to the side and saw all their dirty little faces underneath. "In you go now," said one of the smallest children from deep below. As she climbed down, she thought she heard her father scream her name. 6 reports from the priest. We can see Bianca in the distance. She runs from brush pile to brush pile, dipping her lantern in sparking flames that are spreading throughout the town. She's wearing a blue dress and yellow socks, and drawings of kites on her hands and arms glow in the light of the fire. She is a streak of colour with long black hair. There are 7 of us here in the woods. We have no place to go without the direction of our Creator, and with the fire reaching the first line of birch trees, we fear for our lives. The snow turns to pools of water around our toes. There's a loud creaking sound that echoes through the woods. The last thing we see is the blacksmith's ship moving through the town. It divides shops in 2. Splinters of flaming wood spin through the air. The girl who smelled of honey and smoke. I write in huge letters, "Flight returned to town," and fold it into a little square and go back to bed with February. When I wake in the middle of the night, I have an idea. I make a drawing of a new town on parchment that I too fold into a little square. In the morning, I take the folded squares and place them under the pillow of Thaddeus Lowe. Thaddeus repeats out loud the sentence, "Flight returned to town," and smiled. Thaddeus wore the light box on his head when he ascended in the balloon towards the holes in the sky. Beneath him the town was flames and dark smoke. It filled the sky around him. From a great distance, where the rest of the town was climbing up from the tunnels and into their new homes, they could see the balloon glowing with each pulse of flame and a box of light flickering in the darkness. "What's going to happen to him?" said one of the children. "Maybe he's going to die," said another, throwing a large burlap sack of clothing onto the ground. "He's not going to die," said another child. "He's going to be with the Creator." Bianca was in her new home. She watched out the window of the old town in the distance burn to the ground. She saw the balloon light and disappear, and she played the ancient game of prediction. She saw a box of lights sitting on the shoulders of her shouting father. The kites on her hands and arms burned. She wanted to throw the kites from her fingers and into the sky and tie them to the balloon and pull her father back to the earth. She saw the balloon ascend into the 2 holes in the sky, and she saw the balloon stop. The top of the balloon was stuck. Thaddeus climbed out of the basket and up the side of the balloon. He had draped thick ropes there for this purpose. Where he came to the edge of the hole in the sky, he pulled himself up and kicked against the balloon. He crawled on his stomach until he was completely inside a large room that looked just like the house builder's home. It was dark except for a small lamp that sat on a desk. The room smelled like honey and smoke, and Thaddeus walked around a little before hearing footsteps and hiding beneath the furniture. It was the girl who smelled of honey and smoke. She carried a steaming cup. She sat down at the desk and began to write. All around the desk were little squares of paper tied with blue ribbon. "Hello," whispered Thaddeus, peeking over a piece of furniture. The girl who smelled of honey and smoke didn't hear him. "It's me," he whispered a little louder. The girl who smelled of honey and smoke turned around. "You," she said. "Go away. What are you doing here? I'm trying to save you from February." "I know what's going on," said Thaddeus. "I know that February lives here, and he is a mean man who named House Builder and his wife February and the girl who smelled of honey and smoke." She looked at him. "He's not a mean man," she said. "He's just confused. He didn't know what to do with your town. But I'm helping now. It's over. February is given up. I'm giving you a new town and a new life. You should really go." "How big is our town?" Thaddeus asked, looking back through the hole in the floor. The sky of the town. "I have no idea," said the girl who smelled of honey and smoke. "I mean it when I say you should go back. Everything is going to be fine now." "Is February here?" "Yes, but he's sleeping." Thaddeus said, "I want to see February." "No, you can't. There's no point in it." "I want to see February," said Thaddeus. "Fine," said the girl, but very quickly. The girl who smelled of honey and smoke led Thaddeus to a cold bedroom. A man was sleeping under the sheets. His hair was brown and curly, and he looked sad. "That's him. That's February." "Yes," said the girl. "Are you happy now?" "I hate him," said Thaddeus. "I hate him for what he did." Thaddeus stood, his chest rose and fell, and he felt the sharp tip of the knife in his pocket. The girl who smells of honey and smoke creates new town. After the smoke clears from the skies, the sun comes out big and glorious, and leaves on the treetops look like they were on fire. Crop fields and flower beds bloomed. Some of the children went blind from staring in disbelief at the sun. They had to walk around with cloth tied around their eyes. Bianca told everyone that the sun possessed this power, but even she stared at it now and saw black spots in the corners of the new sky. Scraps of parchment written by the girl who smells of honey and smoke. Everyone smiled in Newtown. No one mentioned the old town ever again. The season of February only existed in the old town. Caldor Clemens unhanged himself from deep in the woods and came to the new town. He walked into a shop and asked, "Did I miss anything?" And everyone laughed. Sailor, frozen in the river, was seen one morning crawling from the muddy shore. She remembered nothing. February at the edge of town, and his wife came to the new town and explained how his name was the house builder and not February. He told the story of February the creator and his war with not only the town but with the girl who smelled of honey and smoke. Only Thaddeus Lowe was missing. February, I hear a man breathing. I hear the girl who smells of honey and smoke. Put down the knife. Thaddeus, the girl who smells of honey and smoke told me to hide, so I did. I watched from behind a curtain February get up from his bed. He was a skinny man. He didn't look scary. He said something to the girl who smelled of honey and smoke about hearing her talking to someone, a man. She denied it. He asked where the lightbox was, and she said that she thought he was finished with it. February said, "No, I'm not. I don't think I am after all." The girl who smelled of honey and smoke handed him a box. February uncovered it and took out a stack of parchment. "Newtown," he said. "What is this?" I heard a dog, no, a wolf, howling, and then I saw February run from the room with the stack of parchment. I heard heavy footsteps near the top of my head. Where was I? February upstairs scribbled, "Thaddeus Lowe drowns. Thaddeus Lowe is attacked by bears. Thaddeus Lowe has a heart attack. Thaddeus Lowe chokes to death on an apple. Thaddeus Lowe's mouth fills with snow." Downstairs, the girl who smells of honey and smoke writes, "Thaddeus Lowe becomes a famous balloonist. Thaddeus Lowe has 3 more children and becomes Newtown mayor. Thaddeus Lowe lives to be 100 years old. Thaddeus Lowe forgets the definition of sadness." She hears a bear growling in the closet where Thaddeus is. She hears Thaddeus say his heart hurts. She hears Thaddeus say he is having a wonderful life, but the closet is filling with water and he doesn't know how to swim, and his mouth is filling with snow and he's choking. February flips through the stack of parchment and finds a single sheet that says, "Thaddeus wore the light box on his head when he ascended in the balloon towards the 2 holes in the sky." February didn't remember writing that. He ran back downstairs and searched the room. "Is he actually here?" he asked the girl who smelled of honey and smoke. "Is it actually possible that Thaddeus is here?" The girl who smelled of honey and smoke said nothing. She stood with her hands behind her back, a pencil in one hand, parchment in the other. She had grown to resent him for what he had done to the town. She had loved him. She had hated him. February looked at the closet, the slight wavering of the fabric. Thaddeus trembled. He had his knife drawn. February reached his hand out and pulled the curtain to one side and felt a blade sink into his chest, stopping at the bone. Thaddeus pushed February across the room. The two spun in circles before falling to the floor, and the town looked up and saw the sky shake. February hit Thaddeus on the side of the face with a closed fist. A tooth fell from the sky. The knife sank deeper, twisted to the left then the right. The girl who smelled of honey and smoke screamed, "Stop! Stop!" She tried to separate them, pulling at flailing arms and legs. February bit Thaddeus's ear and drew blood. Thaddeus took the knife out and drove it down hard at the shoulder, then into his stomach where he zigzagged a deep path. He kept stabbing February, sinking the blade in deeper and faster with each hit. Blood soaked February, a lake growing from his chest. His hands waved near Thaddeus's face, pulling at his mouth and poking at his eyes. February screamed, coughed up blood and a white flower petal, then the resistance of his body loosened. When the town looked up, they saw blood-red vines twist through the sky. Giant flowers bloomed over clouds. The vines and flowers grew in layers until they reached their outstretched fingertips. Note found in February's pocket by the girl who smells of honey and smoke. "I wanted to write you a story about magic. I wanted rabbits appearing from hats. I wanted balloons lifting you into the sky, and it turned out to be nothing but sadness, war, heartbreak. You never saw it, but there's a garden inside me." Thaddeus moved from the body of February and leapt through the hole and back into the balloon. He heard the girl who smelled of honey and smoke crying. He looked in the blood that covered his hands and arms, and he trembled. The balloon descended to the town of flowers, bumping, getting caught several times on the vine growth. When the balloon reached the ground, everyone was cheering. It was a new town. Thaddeus didn't smile or cheer. He simply looked up at the 2 holes in the sky and waited for something to happen. He waited. The girl who smelled of honey and smoke sat on the floor with the body of February. She kissed him on his forehead. When she rolled him over to see the 2 holes in the floor, she saw vines and flowers and blood growing from his back. She didn't feel anger against Thaddeus or regret. She didn't feel anything. She wrote on one sheet of parchment, June, and on the other, July, and coloured them yellow. Then she crumpled up the 2 sheets of parchment and stuffed one in one hole and one in the other. She went upstairs and grabbed a large rug. She carried the rug downstairs and she unfolded it and placed it over the floor of the 2 holes in the sky. Thaddeus, we looked at the sky for hours. There are 2 suns in the sky. One sun has June written on it and the other says July. The professor makes a calendar with these 2 seasons. The vines and flowers from the sky cover the ground. The flowers are the size of our heads. The children kick them around. The crop fields stretch towards the sky. It's so hot. My feet sink into the warm mud. The idea of February becomes erased from our thoughts. The solution brings construction on new balloons. A baby is crying. More than one baby is crying. Dozens of naked babies with flowers wrapped around their throats are walking from the horizon towards us. They scream and huge white flowers unfold from their little mouths and float like balloons up to the sky. The end. Thanks all for coming along. It's been so nice to have you. And that was the end of our lovely book. I've got to go have a great evening. And Bogato. Lovely. Lovely, lovely. Well done and thank you for fucking Cactus baby, I didn't see you come in, my sweet love. Oh, my darling, I didn't see you come in. Hello to Cactus Snacks only. Oh, my love. I didn't see you come in. It's so great to have you. Just in time for a little cuddle. I'm sorry, lovely. I was in on the raid, but Loki hasn't been well. Oh, Cactus baby, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to hear that. Please give Loki a little cuddle for me, and I hope he feels better soon. Bye, Heather. We're going to raid Escape the North, so we'll all see you there. We will all see you there. Let's go and have a look, shall we? Thank you all for being here. I had such a nice time finishing that book with you. I really appreciate you giving me so much of your time, for coming by. You know it means a lot to me how much time you spend here. Thank you to all of our wonderful new friends. It was so great to meet you and I really appreciate you being here. Tomorrow is Saturday and I will be here from 7 o'clock-ish tomorrow. Hopefully it's 7, but I might be held back at work. So see you tomorrow at 7 and we'll either be drawing animals with human hands or we'll do some portraits. So exciting. I love you all. Let's go do the raid. /RAID Escape the North. Lovely. Let's go. I adore you. Have a lovely evening. I hope your bellies are full of yummy, delicious food. You have a wonderful sleep and you have a great day tomorrow. I love you all. Thank you for being here. I really, really loved having you. Bye everyone. See you later. Thank you.
It's actually a lake bar. Sweating, it's a lake bar. It's wearing a backwards cap. It's wearing a backwards cap. It's wearing a backwards cap. It's wearing a backwards cap.
Add a hand. 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 Flossie's making love to an octopus, making it ink all over the place. Flossie's making love to an octopus. Puss, 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 puss. Add a hand. 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 Add a hand.
It's actually a leg bar.
Yeah, Flossie, we're back in 1 moment, baby.
Swear that it's a leg bar.
Yeah, Flossie, we're back in 1 moment, baby.
It's actually a leg bar. Swear that it's a leg bar. It's wearing a backwards cap. It's wearing a backwards cap.